It's not just about the tech itself, the nuts and bolts. It's about how it impacts us.
Welcome to Entertain Me, hosted by Roberto Capodieci, as we bridge the worlds of new and old technologies, meet incredible individuals, and delve into past visions of the future, between technology and life, with Roberto Capodieci on Entertain Me. You're now listening to Deep Dive.
Okay, so ready to jump into the future, podcasts, tech, all that.
Always.
Well, we've got this sneak peek, right? This platform, Interchain.me, launches January 2025.
Okay, I'm intrigued already. January 2025. Got it.
Yeah, and it's not JST, another app,
Right.
The guy behind it, Roberto Capodieci, he's been deep in blockchain forever, like over 15 years. Senior blockchain architect, chief blockchain officer.
Wow, so he knows his stuff.
Oh yeah, he's got the experience, and he's not just launching a platform. He's building this whole community around how it intersects with our actual lives.
Okay, so it's bigger than just the tech itself. It's about the impact, the human side of things.
Exactly, and he's bringing all that experience from those big companies he worked at, Jada AI, Simply.
Yeah, those are some serious names in the tech world.
Right, so it's like he's taking all that knowledge and saying, okay, how do we make sense of all this for everyone? How is tech actually changing the world? And one way he's doing that is through all these series they've got planned.
Ooh, series. Okay, tell me more.
One that really caught my eye, it's called Deep Dive.
Deep dive. I like it already. What's the angle?
So get this, they're using AI to actually generate the podcast.
Whoa, hold on. AI is making the podcast. That's wild.
Yeah, it's like Roberto's using AI to distill his own expertise, on all those crazy complex tech topics.
So like a super-powered version of Roberto's brain, sharing all his insights on blockchain, AI, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. Kind of like what we're doing right now, right? Taking a deep dive into a topic and pulling out the most interesting stuff. Except here, the AI is doing some of the heavy lifting.
That's pretty meta, isn't it? We're talking about a podcast that uses AI to create a podcast while we're recording a podcast.
It's very meta. And, knowing Roberto, it's not going to be some boring, technical lecture. He's been presenting on blockchain, all this stuff for years.
Yeah.
So he knows how to make it engaging.
Right. It's got to be entertaining, too. People need to actually want to listen.
Exactly. And that's, I think, what sets Interchain.me apart. It's not just about the tech itself, the nuts and bolts. It's about how it impacts us, on a human level.
Yeah, the human element. That's what often gets lost in tech conversations.
Totally. It's about storytelling, personal experiences, all that.
Yeah.
Making these ideas, relatable to people like you and me.
I'm all for that. We need more of that in the tech world.
Right. And speaking of stories, there's this other series called Rob's Memory Lane. This one's all about Roberto's own journey, his personal experiences, even some stories in Italian with subtitles.
Okay, now that's a cool twist. Italian with subtitles. I'm in.
It adds a really human element to the whole platform, It's like a glimpse behind the curtain, showing that even the most complex tech is created by, real people.
Makes you wonder what kind of stories he has to tell, right? Someone with his experience, there's got to be some good ones.
Oh, I bet. But let's go back to Deep Dive for a second. This idea of AI generating a podcast about complex tech topics. What kind of potential do you see in that format?
Well, for one, I think it has huge potential for making complex stuff more accessible. AI can take tons of information and present it in a way that's actually understandable, even if you're not a tech expert.
Right, so it's like having a personal tutor guiding you through all the intricacies of AI, blockchain, all of it.
Exactly, and it can be tailored to your specific level of understanding. AI is pretty good at that kind of personalization.
That's a good point. It's like a custom-designed learning experience just for you. And knowing Roberto, it won't just be about the technical details.
Oh, for sure. Roberto's always been interested in the bigger picture, the philosophy, the ethics, the societal impact of all this tech.
Right, so I'm sure Deep Dive will explore all those angles too. It won't just be about the how, but also the why.
It'll be about the impact on people's lives, the big questions we need to be asking.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got this sneak peek at Interchain.me, this platform that's blending, cutting-edge tech with human stories, focusing on how all this is shaping our world, launching January 2025.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
What's that?
They're actually looking for guests right now.
Wait, seriously? Right now?
Yeah. If you're an expert or just passionate about tech and have something to share, this is your chance to be part of something totally new.
Wow, that's amazing. What an opportunity to get in on the ground floor of something like this.
Right. You could even be on Deep Dive, sharing your thoughts alongside Roberto and his AI co-host.
Talk about a unique experience. So anyone out there listening who's got something to say about tech, I'd say reach out.
Absolutely. This is a chance to have your voice heard, amplified by the power of AI, and shared with a global audience.
That's pretty powerful.
Right. Okay, so now I know what you're thinking. What other series do they have planned? Well, let's dive into a few more, starting with one that's both, thought-provoking and a bit of a blast from the past. Past predictions.
Oh, past predictions. Sounds interesting. What's that about?
It's all about looking back at those predictions people made about technology. Flying cars, robots, all that, and seeing how they held up.
Oh, I love that. Like, did they get it right? Or were they way off?
Exactly. I'm sure there will be a lot of those aha moments, where we realize how much our understanding of technology has changed over the years.
And how much it hasn't. It's amazing how some predictions are spot on and others are just hilariously wrong.
Right. So it's not just about entertainment. It's about understanding how our perceptions of tech have evolved and how that's influenced the decisions we make today.
It's like holding a mirror up to ourselves and asking, what did we think the future would be like?
Exactly. And it makes you wonder about the predictions we're making now, right? Are we falling into the same traps?
Oh, totally. Are we overestimating some things, underestimating others? It's a great way to get some perspective.
And it feels especially relevant now because we're on the cusp of some massive tech advancements. AI, blockchain, the metaverse, these were all like science fiction once.
And now they're becoming reality right before our eyes.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
So past predictions, it's not just about looking back, it's about using the past to help us understand the present and the future.
I like that. Learning from our mistakes, or at least our miscalculations.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got deep dive, past predictions, and it sounds like Interchain.me is shaping up to be more than just a platform for, techies. It's a space for exploring, like the big questions about tech and humanity, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's about where technology and society intersect and how that's going to play out in the future.
Totally. Which brings us to another really interesting series they've got, Decentralizing AI.
Decentralizing AI. Okay, that's a big one. AI is everywhere these days.
Right. Changing how we work, communicate, everything. But what happens when all that power is in the hands of just a few companies?
That's the million-dollar question, and a scary one, honestly. Too much power concentrated in one place is rarely a good thing.
Exactly. So Decentralizing AI explores this idea of, distributing the power, making it more accessible, more transparent, more accountable.
So giving individuals and communities more control over how AI is developed and used?
Yeah. It's a pretty radical idea, right?
Yeah.
We're used to thinking of AI as something controlled by, big tech or governments. But what if it could be something that empowers people?
Now that's a future I can get behind. But how would that even work?
Well, that's where Roberto's expertise in blockchain comes in. Blockchain is all about decentralization, right? Creating trust and transparency in systems that are usually, super centralized.
Right. It's like taking the power away from the middleman and putting it directly into the hands of the users.
Exactly. So it sounds like Decentralizing AI isn't just about the tech itself. It's about the social, the political implications of, who controls AI and how it's used.
Yeah, it's about power, ultimately. Who has it? Who benefits from it? It's a big conversation to have.
It is a big conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about deep dive, past predictions, and decentralizing AI.
Wow, yeah, just those three alone. It sounds like Interchain.me is going to be a pretty thought-provoking platform.
Right. These series, they paint a picture of a platform that's not afraid to ask those big questions.
Yeah.
The ones that are relevant to the world we're living in. But there's more, believe it or not.
It's more. You're kidding. I'm already hooked.
Oh, yeah. And what's really interesting is how Roberto kind of weaves his own personal journey into everything. He's not just a tech expert, He's a storyteller, a philosopher. He's passionate about sharing all this.
That's what makes it work, I think. When you can sense that passion, that genuine desire to share knowledge.
Totally. And that brings us back to Rob's Memory Lane. That series, it feels like the heart of Interchain.me.
Yeah.
It's where we get to know Roberto on a personal level, his stories, the experiences that shaped his vision.
And some of them are in Italian with subtitles. That's just so cool.
It adds a whole other dimension, right? A layer of authenticity and, cultural richness.
It's like we're getting a glimpse into a different world, a different way of thinking.
Exactly. So we've got AI-generated podcasts, explorations of past predictions, discussions about decentralizing AI, and personal stories from Roberto's life. It's like a tapestry of tech, humanity, and the future.
It sounds like Interchain.me is trying to be more than just a platform, you know? It's like a movement, a community of people who are passionate about the future and how technology is shaping it.
I think you're right, and I'm really curious to see how it all comes together.
Me too. January 2025 can't come soon enough. It's like, imagine, right, Roberto's insights on blockchain, on AI, all that.
Yeah.
But it's amplified because the AI can analyze it all, go deeper than, I don't know, than we can sometimes.
It's like getting Roberto's brain power, but like supercharged.
Exactly. All the complexity of those topics, but like broken down. So it's understandable.
And it's really HE's knowledge driving the AI. You know what I mean?
That's what's key. It's not just some random AI spouting facts. It's got Roberto's years of experience behind it.
Exactly. It's like instead of skimming the surface, we're getting this super detailed view.
Like having Roberto as your guide through this maze of technology, but with AI as like this super powered magnifying glass.
Oh, I like that. A magnifying glass. Okay, so let's say deep dive, right? What kind of topics specifically do you think they'll cover?
Well, knowing Roberto, I'd bet on the evolution of blockchain for sure.
Yeah.
And the whole philosophy behind decentralized systems, the ethics of AI, definitely. Maybe even how blockchain and AI could like merge.
Oh, that's a good one. We are seeing more of that, right? AI running on blockchain.
Exactly. And I bet Deep Dive will explore that. Not just the tech, but the impact. How it could change things for us.
Yeah, how it change our lives.
Yeah.
I'm also curious about how the AI will like help with the storytelling. Because Roberto, he has a good storyteller.
Right. But imagine, the AI could pull in data, historical stuff, even sound effects.
It'd be so immersive. Like the AI is this digital storyteller working with Roberto.
Whoa, and maybe the AI will even like develop its own personality?
Ooh, that'd be wild. Like a back and forth between Roberto and the AI co-host.
Now that brings up a whole other set of questions, right? What happens when AI starts getting creative?
It's like we're entering this new era of podcasting. The lines between human and AI, they're getting blurry.
And Roberto, he's the perfect person to be leading the charge, you know, with his background and all.
He's not afraid to experiment. And I think that's what makes Interchain.me so exciting. It's not just reflecting the current state of tech, it's pushing things forward.
It's shaping the future of how we like create and consume content.
Okay, so Deep Dive has this potential, right, to explore these complex topics, but also to push the boundaries of podcasting itself. But what about the listener? How do you think this AI-powered format will change how they experience a podcast?
I think it could make podcasts way more personal. Like imagine the AI tailoring the content to you, to your interests, your understanding, even how you learn best.
Well, that's a good point. It's like having a podcast that's specifically designed for you.
Exactly. And even interactive, you know, like what if you could ask questions during the podcast? The AI could answer them.
Well, hold on. So it becomes a two-way conversation. Like a real-time Q&A.
Yeah. It's like the podcast becomes this collaborative thing, a learning environment where the listener is actually participating.
That changes everything. It's not just passively listening anymore. It's engaging, actively learning.
And that's what Interchain.me seems to be all about. Creating a community of like engaged learners, thinkers, people who want to grapple with these ideas.
Okay, so Deep Dive sounds like a real game changer. It combines Roberto's knowledge, the power of AI to create this super immersive, personalized experience. But it's just one piece of the puzzle, right? Interchain.me has all these other series, like past predictions.
Oh yeah, past predictions. We were talking about that before. I love that idea of looking back at how people saw the future, especially with tech.
Right. It's a good reminder that things change so quickly. And our predictions, well, they often miss the mark.
But it puts things into perspective. You know, it shows that the future isn't set in stone. We're creating it every day with our choices, with our inventions.
And it makes you think about the predictions we're making now, right? What will people in the future think of our ideas about AI, the metaverse, all that?
It's humbling, honestly. We think we know where things are headed, but there's always that element of surprise.
I love that. So past predictions, it's not just a history lesson, it's a reminder to be more open-minded about the future.
To challenge our assumptions. Because the future, it's not something that happens to us, we're building it.
Okay, so we've got Deep Dive, past predictions, both really cool in their own way. But Interchain.me is also about personal stories, the people behind the technology. And that brings us back to Rob's memory lane.
Ah, yes, the human element. I think that's so important, especially in a world that can feel very tech-driven.
Right. It's easy to get lost in the algorithms, the code, all that. But personal stories, they remind us that there are real people behind it all.
And Roberto's stories, they're going to be fascinating. He's been in blockchain since the early days. He's seen it all.
And he's sharing it all in his own words, some of it even in Italian, with subtitles. It's like we're getting this insider view of how blockchain went from this niche thing to, well, what it is today.
And the Italian with the subtitles, that's just such a cool touch. It adds this richness, this cultural layer that you don't often see in tech content.
I know. It's like we're getting a peek into a different culture while also learning about this revolutionary technology.
Exactly. It's a great reminder that technology, it's a global phenomenon.
So we've got personal anecdotes, tech history, cultural insights. Rob's memory lane is going to be a wild ride. But wait, there's more.
Seriously, there's even more. How much content is this guy creating?
Roberto's a machine. He's got Learn with Rob, where he shares his learning journey, like in real time. There's Life Tips, where he gives advice, little nuggets of wisdom, and then New Tech, where he explores the latest gadgets, all that.
It's like a one-stop shop for all things tech, but with this personal touch that sets it apart.
And what's amazing is he's doing all this himself, the writing, the producing. He's a true innovator, not just in blockchain, but in podcasting too.
You can feel his energy, his enthusiasm. It's infectious.
It really is. It makes you want to dive in and learn alongside him.
And that's what makes interchain.me so special. It's not just about the tech, it's about the human connections. It's about sharing those stories, those insights, and making technology relatable to everyone.
Okay, so we've talked about deep dive, past predictions, Rob's memory lane. We've barely scratched the surface of all the content on interchain.me. But there's one more series I want to focus on, and it ties in with something we discussed earlier, decentralizing AI. This series really dives into the idea of, taking that concept of decentralization and applying it to artificial intelligence.
Right. We talked about how AI is so powerful, how it's changing everything, but there's that risk, What if all that power is controlled by just a few entities?
Exactly. So decentralizing AI, it explores this idea of distributing that power, making AI more accessible, more transparent, more accountable.
It's about giving individuals, communities, more control over how AI is developed and used.
Yeah. It's a pretty radical concept, but it's gaining traction. We're seeing it with blockchain, with cryptocurrencies, even with social media platforms.
It's at this underlying shift in thinking, right? Yeah. Challenging those traditional power structures, giving people more agency.
I like that. More agency. So decentralizing AI isn't just about the technology. It's about the potential for social change.
Exactly. It's about who has the power, who benefits from the technology. Those are big questions we need to be asking ourselves.
They are big questions. And it sounds like interchain.me is creating a space for those conversations to happen.
Yeah, and with Roberto's expertise in both blockchain and AI, he's the perfect person to be leading the charge.
He's not just talking about it, he's actively involved in making it happen.
Exactly. And that's what I find so exciting about interchain.me. It's not just a passive platform, it's a call to action.
It's an invitation to get involved, to think critically about these issues, and to help shape the future of technology in a way that benefits everyone.
Absolutely. And what better way to do that than through a platform that's engaging, entertaining, and accessible to people from all walks of life?
Well said. Okay, we've talked about deep dive, past predictions, Rob's memory lane, and decentralizing AI. 4 incredible series that each delve into a different facet of this intersection between technology and humanity.
And we're just scratching the surface, right? There's so much more to explore on this platform.
There is. And one series that I think speaks to Roberto's well-rounded approach to tech is Throwback Thursday.
Throwback Thursday, what's that about?
It's about revisiting older content, like blog posts, articles, videos from the past, stuff that might have been forgotten in this rush to always be on the cutting edge.
Oh, interesting. Like a tech time capsule?
Exactly. And I think it's a good reminder that good ideas, they often stand the test of time. We get so caught up in the next big thing that we sometimes forget about the foundations that were laid years ago.
That's so true. We're always looking ahead, but sometimes it's good to look back and see where we came from, to appreciate the pioneers, the ideas that paved the way.
Exactly. And I think Throwback Thursday will also highlight how tech has evolved. It's not just about progress, it's about building on what came before.
Like those ideas from the past, they often lay the groundwork for the innovations of the future.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe we'll find some hidden gems in there, those articles or videos that were ahead of their time.
It's like a treasure hunt.
It is. A tech history treasure hunt.
Uh,
So, Throwback Thursday, it's a blend of nostalgia, reflection, and timeless wisdom, all curated by Roberto, who's seen it all.
it's a reminder that sometimes the best way to understand where we're going is to look back at where we've been.
I love that. Okay, so we've got Deep Dive, Past Predictions, Rog's Memory Lane, Decentralizing AI, and Throwback Thursday. 5 amazing series that each explore a different facet of this intersection between technology and humanity. But Interchain.me is more than just these individual series, right? It's about the overarching vision, the community that Roberto's trying to create.
It's like a tapestry, you know? All these different threads, these ideas, these stories woven together to create something bigger than the sum of its parts.
I like that. A tapestry of technology and humanity. And what's really cool is that Roberto's not just creating this for people to passively consume, he's actively encouraging people to get involved, to contribute, to shape the future of the platform.
Yeah, he's looking for guests, contributors, collaborators. It's a platform that's built on the idea of co-creation, of community.
And that's what I find so exciting about Interchain.me. It's not just a platform, it's a movement. It's a community of people who are passionate about technology and its potential to make the world a better place.
And they're inviting everyone to join them on this journey, to explore, to learn, to create, to connect.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but we're just scratching the surface of what Interchain.me has to offer. From AI-generated podcasts to personal stories to explorations of the past and the future, this platform promises to be a unique and engaging experience for anyone who's interested in the intersection of technology and humanity.
And the best part is, we're just getting a sneak peek. The platform officially launches in January 2025, so there's much more to discover in the months to come.
I'm already counting down the days. But for now, let's shift our focus to one of the most fascinating and forward-thinking aspects of Interchain.me, its international perspective. We've already touched on the fact that some of Roberto's personal stories are in Italian with subtitles, which adds unique cultural flavor to the platform. But Roberto is also planning a series that's based on his Italian podcast, Perspectives on the Metaverse. This series promises to bring a fresh perspective to this rapidly evolving digital landscape.
That's right. Perspectives on the Metaverse dives headfirst into the world of virtual realities, digital economies, and immersive experiences that are shaping the future of how we interact and connect with each other. And I'm particularly interested in hearing Roberto's insights from an Italian perspective, as Italy has a rich history of art, design, and culture that could inform our understanding of how the metaverse might evolve.
Yeah, it's more than just tech, right? It's like a different way of looking at the metaverse.
Exactly. It's like, what would the metaverse look like if it was designed with, like, Italian sensibilities? You know, the art, the design, the focus on community.
Right. It's like a metaverse with a soul.
Okay, so we've got all these amazing series, but what stood out to you the most from all this? What really surprised you?
Honestly, it's those personal stories. Rob's Memory Lane, those stories in Italian with subtitles, I wasn't expecting that.
I know. It's like we're getting this whole other side of Roberto, you know? Not just the tech expert, but the person. Yeah, it adds a whole other dimension to Interchain.me. It's not just about the information, it's about the human connection.
Right. And it makes me even more excited to see what he does with Deep Dive. You know,
Yeah.
that AI-generated podcast. It's like, how will he blend those personal insights with the power of AI?
I think it's going to be fascinating. It's like we're witnessing a new era of podcasting where AI is becoming a creative partner.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot, but for you, what was the most unexpected takeaway?
I think it's the way Roberto's tying everything together. The tech, the personal stories, the focus on community. It's not just a platform, it's like a philosophy.
Yeah, it's a vision. A vision for how technology can be used to connect people, to share knowledge, to make the world a better place.
Exactly. And I think that's what's so exciting about Interchain.me. It's not just about the tech itself, it's about the potential it has to make a real difference.
So Interchain.me, launching in January 2025. What series are you most excited about?
Ooh, that's a tough one. There's so much to choose from. But I think for me, it's Deep Dive. I'm just so curious to hear what an AI-generated podcast sounds like, you know? And especially one that's focused on such complex topics.
Yeah, Deep Dive is definitely at the top of my list too. It's just so innovative, so different from anything else out there. And I love how it's bringing together Roberto's expertise with the power of AI. It's like a glimpse into the future of podcasting. But honestly, I'm excited about all of it.
Me too. And who knows, maybe some of our listeners will be inspired to reach out to Roberto and become a part of this journey. There's a real sense of community building here, a feeling that anyone can contribute their voice to the conversation.
Exactly. So if you're out there listening and any of this sparked your interest, don't be shy. Head over to the interchain.me website, check out their social media, and maybe even reach out to Roberto himself. You can be part of something really special. And that's a wrap on our deep dive into interchain.me. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep connecting.
Roberto Capodieci on Interchain Me.